Hi, my name is Roland from PMI JSCM Realty Group, where we manage properties from an asset management perspective. So, we all have to start somewhere, right? You have to walk before you crawl. I mean, that's just the name of the game. It's just what it is in life, right? So, if you're new to rental property investing, what I want to do right now is I want to give you a couple of tips that's going to help you avoid several mistakes that could reduce your ROI, right? And so what you really want to do is you want to understand that, hey, in real estate, there's really never a bad time to start investing, right? There's an old saying that says, what is the best time to invest 20 years ago? What is the second best time to invest today, right? Wherever you are in your journey, if you're thinking about real estate investing, this is the best time to start because this is where you are now, right? And then you have to navigate the waters to get where you ultimately want to be, regardless of where you want your journey to ultimately end up, whether you want to retire, you want to become a multi-billionaire, whatever it is, you have to start somewhere. But in your start, sometimes I think most real estate investors, real estate investors, they make mistakes. I think everyone makes mistakes. It's just not new real estate investors. But what I want to do for new real estate investors is give you some tips that's going to help you identify some pitfalls and avoid them within your first year, right? After your first year, then you can go ahead and, conquer the world. But I think if you take the time to listen to these 5 tips, you're going to be better off for it, and you're going to be able to avoid, some pitfalls that can reduce your ROI. So let's get into it. So the first tip I want to give you as a new investor, right? If you're a new investor, right? And this can even actually go for seasoned existing investors, because sometimes we have the idea that, we can do it all ourselves, so that we want to do it all ourselves. I mean, I've had experiences where me as a property manager, I was trying to fix hot water heaters. I mean, I spent hours trying to get a hot water heater to light. And I called a professional and they got it done in 5 minutes, right? It doesn't seem like that's something that's hard, but if it's not your specialty, you may not just know the tips or the tricks of the trade. And one of my friends used to talk about repairing cars and things like that. And in reality is things are not that hard. If you know what you're doing and you have the right tools, you can pretty much do everything, right? And so what we think as real estate investors, though, is that we have the right tools and we necessarily don't. And we know everything when we necessarily don't, right? So don't try to do everything yourself. And if you don't try to do everything yourself, you're going to see that your life is going to be much easier, right? And your job is going to be much easier in property management, and you're going to be better at what you do, right? I know budgets sometimes can be tight. You may have a high confidence that you can do a lot of things yourself, and you're excited about, the new journey in the business. But the reality is, don't do everything yourself. Build a team, which is the first thing that you should do when you start investing in property, and that's going to help you out a great deal. The next tip that I'm going to give you is um, don't work with the cheapest vendors. I know sometimes we feel like, I mean, I know I have people coming to me all the time, right? My rates are pretty, standard and common in the industry, right? 8 to 10%, right? As a property manager. And I have people wanting to come pay 2, 3%, right? Like 5%. And it's like, you can go find a property manager that would manage your property for 5%, but what are you getting out of that, right? Like, are you getting the value out of that? Like, can they guarantee your rent even if the tenant doesn't pay, right? Are they able to contribute to the maintenance, right? If there's a large job, can they front that cash up front and have you pay that over time, so it doesn't impact um, your cash flow? And most likely not, right? Will they guarantee if a tenant doesn't stay in the property for at least 6 months that they will replace it with a tenant placement warranty? Most property management companies don't have that service, right? But they expect me to charge like those property management companies that charge only 5%. And I just can't do that. And so for you as a real estate investor, don't just go for the cheapest. Go for A, quality, right? Look out for quality first, but then B, really look at what things are really worth to do, right? So for example, when when I have a vendor going out to do a job, right, and they charge $75, to go on site to do the job, you got to think about, how much it costs in gas for them to go where they're coming from to get where they're going to your property back and forth, right? Is that unreasonable? No, it's not, right? $50 to $75 is okay. Now, if they start charging $200, $300 for that, then that's a problem. But $50 to $75, it's not a bad deal, right? And for me, the way I try to make sense of what they're charging me, typically I don't like it if a vendor charges me any more than 1.5 times what the cost of the material is, right? So let's say they're going to fix something and the material costs $50. Then the labor to me should be no more than $50 plus 25, right? 1.5 times, right? So that's $75 plus the $50 for the labor. So the total cost for everything should be 125, which is not unreasonable, right? So try to identify some strategies and some ways to identify what things really cost, and just don't go for the cheapest, because the cheapest is not typically the best, because what typically happens is you pay for the thing the cheapest, and then what happens is you have to do double work, right? And you have to pay for double work, right? Because they're not going to give you a refund, right? Most people who charge the cheapest rate don't. So keep that in mind, and don't just look for the cheapest vendors. And then, the third tip is be aware of legal blindness. I mean, understand that you don't know what you don't know, right? Like, and I mean, and that sounds like a difficult thing to do, but just recognize, like, look, there are a lot of things that you don't know. You just can't go out there doing anything you want, right? You discriminate against somebody, you're gonna have some problems on your hand, right? For example, right now, I'm not sure if it's just Hillsborough County or is it nationally, but you can't tell a tenant that you don't take Section 8, right? Right? You can't say we don't rent to Section 8, right? And so if they go and report that, you can get in trouble, right? A lot of people don't know that. Whether you're a property manager or whether you are a single owner, you can't say we don't rent to Section 8. And so typically what I say is, um, we're not set up in the system for that particular county for Section 8, right? And that's true. We're not set up with them, right? So we're not saying we take them or we don't take them. We just say we're not set up in that system, right? And when you say that, for the most part, they the prospective tenant says okay, and they just move on, right? You don't even have to go into an explanation, right? So be careful. And then, so a lot of people don't know, in Hillsborough County, if you are in the unincorporated part of Hillsborough County, there is a special notice that you have to provide to all your tenants when they apply. And if they're existing tenants, you have to send them a notice with some rules and regulations that let them know what their rights are, right? And that's mandatory, right? And if you don't do that and someone reports you, you're going to have a problem in your hands, right? And so be aware that there are a lot of things, there are a lot of rules, and a lot of regulations. There are plenty of good attorneys out there that will give you free consultation. Most of them are going to cost. But join real estate groups and network, and that's the best way to kind of get some insight into what's happening in the market. Work with other like-minded investors, and that definitely will help clear up some of the legal blindness and what you can and what you can't do. Um, the next tip I want to talk to you about, tip number 4, is understanding that no tenant is better than a bad tenant, right? My rule of thumb is the best way to keep a bad tenant out is to not let them in, right? And so, and I know sometimes, you get a property, it's vacant, and you feel like, I got to get someone in the property. I got to get someone in the property. But you can't just rush to anybody. You have to make sure you screen the tenants properly. You got to make sure you screen the pets property. I mean, I've had horror stories when I started investing in property and renting properties, where they had dogs in the property and, all types of things because I didn't screen them properly. Now I have the skills and I have all the tools that I do everything right 100% for me and for my clients. But starting out, I lived that. So understand that you're better off having no tenant than a bad tenant, because a bad tenant can destroy your property and it's going to cost you more to get that property fixed up. So no tenant is better than a bad tenant. I think it should speak for itself. Next, don't limit yourself to one area, right? And in real estate, particular real estate agents and property managers as well, we like to farm in an area and get to know that area a great deal. But if you're in a place, let's say like New York or California, where the price of entry was so high. Like for me, when I was living in New York, the price of entry was so high, and I was trying to invest in property in New York for maybe 4 or 5 years. I had to leave New York to actually start investing in properties, right? And I got all of my skills and knowledge and everything that I know in Tennessee, actually, right? That's where I started because the price points and the price point to entry was low enough, manageable enough that I can actually do something out there. And I was able to learn and get all the, and get my feet wet and, and cut my teeth on some properties, some good deals, some bad deals. And so don't limit yourself to one area. Even if you live in another state, look to partner with people in states that you feel would be a good area for you to start investing in, right? Visit those different areas like Tampa, right? Um, or anywhere else in Florida for that matter. They have some great deals, particularly if you're coming from up north. And so don't limit yourself to one area. Make the right connections, and you definitely will be able to prosper and start investing in properties out of state. And if you're exploring the rental property ownership journey for the first time, be mindful of these key mistakes because not making them will save you a ton of headache and a ton of time. And you need to avoid them at all costs. And contact us if you're ready to jumpstart and return and get a better return on your first time investment. It's always our intention to keep you informed regarding the latest trends here in the Tampa metro area. In particular, if you like this topic, the next step, what we would like you to do is join our free webinar. In this webinar, we're going to help you discover how to streamline your rental property for maximum growth, right? This is a topic that you don't want to miss because not only are we going to talk about this topic, but we're going to talk to you about how to guarantee your rent even if the tenant doesn't pay, how to make sure that, how to guarantee that you can have your property fixed up if the tenants do damage to it, even if you don't have a security deposit. And security deposits typically don't cover everything when a tenant moves out for a turnover, but we can make sure that your tenants continue. We can make sure that you continue to have money to do your tenant turnover and fix everything up, even if you don't have a security deposit, right? We're going to show you how to show properties, right? 10 times in one day without leaving your office once. I mean, there are ways you can do things that are very efficient in the market. And so we're going to talk to you about that and other things in the webinar. So please click the link and register for the webinars coming up really soon. And you can also consider joining our ranks on the Facebook group, right? And you can connect with other property owners, both in Tampa and beyond. We exchange new ideas and address challenges with other savvy property professionals. And should you have a more detailed question that required a tailored response, schedule a meeting with me on my calendar. I'm always available and here to help. You can reach out to me directly by phone at 813-333-9617. You can also reach us on my email at rcharles@pmijcmrealty.com. And you can also go to my website at pmijcmrealty.com for more information, right? I'm always here to help, so click on the link. Please engage with me and ask me any questions that you have. And thank you for your time and have a great day.